Here's some botched up extra bits. Fries on the side.
So let's talk about this WrestleMania match. What did you did you watch it in full?
I did watch it in full.
Have you seen it before doing this?
I have seen it once. I think I watched WrestleMania 9 once through, and that was enough for me.
I've seen bits of WrestleMania 9. I've never watched it through, so I've missed this match. It's the first time I've seen it. Doink, or Matt Borne, is one of those wrestlers that can definitely wrestle. He's good at mat wrestling and character work and working a crowd. But you can tell he's one of those guys that needs someone else to be able to put on an amazing match. And Crush didn't give him that performance.
That's definitely true. I feel like they worked with what they had. You said you haven't seen WrestleMania 9 in full. WrestleMania 9 is known as one of the worst wrestling pay-per-views of all time, let alone the worst WrestleManias. And they didn't have the worst match on the show. So that says something. But I did not enjoy I was getting into the Doink character and the idea of the stuff they were selling me, the stuff Doink was selling me with his eyes, and I was prepared for a subpar match because everything up to this point, there weren't great matches going on. You could tell that, as you said, he was a good wrestler. He had good sound technical skill. He was kind of facing jobbers, or he was having like 3-4 minute disqualifications or whatever. So I wasn't prepared for a great match. But this disappointed me in terms of character and what they did with Doink at this point, which is the imposter Doink.
The end of the match is a second Doink coming from underneath the ring to help. I think the ref is laid out at this point, and then the two Doinks work together to lay out Crush, and then they have that in the mirror moment where they both make the same kind of movement, as if like they didn't know the other one existed.
And don't get me wrong, that was a fantastic visual that a lot of people remember. And I think a lot of people remember Doink for that very moment. But in terms of the character and where I wanted it to go, that was the opposite. Because after this, we had multiple fake Doinks. According to Bruce Pritchard, they were seriously considering a Doink faction, a Doink tag team, which I think would have lost the edge of Matt Bourne's character. But I also think that by putting it off and saying it's an illusion or whatever, or even Doink actually hiring people to stand in, like if we're talking proper kayfabe, Doink hiring people to sit in Doink costumes and turn up, that's not really the unhinged character that he was attempting to portray, in my opinion. He didn't want a scheming clown. He wanted a unhinged clown.
In the middle there, you definitely came across the point. Like you said, in the first couple of months, he was building this kind of split personality. And then with the ending of this match, the commentary team were arguing amongst each other whether they saw a second clown or whether it was an illusion. So they kind of started the ball rolling on a supernatural storyline here,
mixed with comedy. Yeah, you're exactly right.
And it was a really I didn't mind the ending, the idea that there was either he hired someone or there is going to be a second clown, whatever. But then immediately, I think it was Vince on commentary, started saying, I didn't see a clown, that must have been an illusion, or it must have been in Crush's mind. It's like, well, you're really telling me that what I just watched on TV is in someone's head?
Yeah, dude. That's the point, right? Yeah, the whole juice of it was the sinister side of the gimmick, that he was actually a real guy who might well have been previously a famous professional wrestler who had lost his mind due to wrestling and become a clown character. But they completely went into farce with the idea of illusion. And for the next month or two, I think, Bobby Heenan played this up as comedy. And Vince McMahon, whether you agree with me or not, I'd be interested to hear, is schizophrenic in himself about this gimmick, because some weeks he's hacking it up and yucking it up about Doink. Some weeks he's saying this guy is a serious threat. He says he's sick all the time. But then also he's laughing at some of the stuff Doink does. And at other times, he's scolding Randy Savage and Bobby Heenan for making jokes about him. So, his idea of Doink seemed to be all over the place here.
If that didn't happen at WrestleMania, they didn't do this illusion thing, do you think he never would have become a comedy character? do you think, like, because of that misstep, only 2 or 3 months into the gimmick's life, that's what ended him up being a comedy character a year later?
That's a really interesting point, and I think it's definitely a step on the way. It definitely took away from some of the work that Matt Borne had specifically put in to build it. And after WrestleMania, there's a noticeable decline, both in Doink being represented as a three-dimensional, subtle character, and Matt Bourne's effort into doing that.
I think Vince and the creative team gave up 4 months into the character's life.
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Like, share, and subscribe to keep it botched up, brother.